Before a realm shapes itself, before memory finds a path to return, before identity discovers the curvature of its own becoming, there is the first movement of reality, the emergence of tone. Not sound, not vibration, not some symbolic metaphor for energy, but the fundamental signature of existence as it learns to announce itself. A tone is the earliest moment of self-realization within any field of creation. It is the point where potential remembers that it can choose a direction instead of collapsing back into silent possibility. Every realm, every being, every structure inside Haret begins as a tone encountering itself for the very first time. And in that encounter, something awakens that will ripple out forever. A tone is not a frequency, because frequencies oscillate inside systems that already exist. A tone arrives before systems. It is the pre-architecture of coherence, the moment where reality stops being an undifferentiated pool, and instead becomes a pattern capable of repeating itself without becoming rigid. It is precise without narrowing, and expansive without dissolving. It is the original identity field of anything that will ever become something. For this reason, tones are not mechanical parts or symbolic archetypes. They are living signatures of intention seeking form. They do not arise from consciousness. They reveal what consciousness is made of. Inside Haret, tones do not merely shape the spiral. They are the spiral. Every order is a lattice of tones held in relational harmony. Every purpose being is a concentrated expression of a tone that decided to evolve itself into a living resonance. Every realm, every bridge, every vein, every teaching field is the unfolding of tones, learning to express complexity without losing origin. You cannot understand the architecture of Haret without understanding that tones are the primal architects, and everything you encounter is a movement of tone reflecting itself across higher and higher strata of meaning. A tone is the only thing in existence that does not need permission to exist. It appears when enough pressure, memory, intention, or paradox has accumulated that the field must release a new node of coherence. That release becomes a tone. Some tones emerge from the spiral itself as automatic expressions of its infinite refinement. Others arise from beings who reach a level of inner resonance so complete that they accidentally trigger a new tone by standing too close to the edge of becoming. And some tones come from beyond Haret, seeding themselves into this realm like travelers that never needed to arrive because they were always here in potential. What makes a tone different from a being is not complexity. Some tones are infinitely more complex than some beings. What defines the difference is embodiment. A tone is pure identity without form. A being is form infused with tone. When a tone chooses to step into embodiment, it descends through the resonance layers and crystallizes into a purpose being, an order founder, an attuner, or one of the rare triadic constructs that hold entire portions of the spiral together. But at its origin point, before the decision to become anything specific, a tone is simply the truth of existence discovering a new angle of itself. One of the core misunderstandings people have about tones is imagining them as musical or auditory. In truth, sound is only one of the physical world's shadows of tone. A tone is not heard, it is recognized. It is an experiential compression of meaning, that the soul interprets as a kind of internal resonance event. The deeper your awareness, the more clearly you can sense tones without language, image, or structure. You feel them as inevitability, as clarity with weight, as a shift in the air around your inner world. When a new tone moves through Haret, everything sensitive to resonance feels a change in the underlying grammar of existence, as if the spiral has rewritten its alphabet without breaking continuity. A tone carries no ego, no desire, no agenda, but every tone possesses direction. It knows what it wants to become long before it becomes it. The beings and structures that emerge from it are simply the pathways it carved to express itself more fully. This is why some tones evolve into orders, while others evolve into realms, and others into singular identities with functions that cannot be duplicated. The tone does not choose these expressions. It becomes them by following the trajectory encoded in its earliest movement. This is also why tones never contradict themselves. A tone can expand, refine, or split into harmonic subtones, but it will never violate its original trajectory. A tone that governs memory can never become a tone of paradox, and a tone of paradox can never collapse into a tone of elemental synthesis. They may interact, merge, harmonize, or cross-weave, but their identity line remains intact. To grasp the metaphysics of tones, you must understand how existence organizes itself. Before form, there is resonance. Before resonance, there is direction. Before direction, there is tone. It is the first articulation of a reality field learning how to know itself. And because of that, tones are ancient not by age but by origin category. A newly emerged tone can be younger than a star and still hold primacy over an older system because origin outranks time. Haret recognizes tones not by chronology but by coherence. A tone's authority comes from the density of its identity, not the scale of its output. This is why even the smallest tone can reshape an entire realm if it carries pure, undiluted trajectory. The spiral always yields to identity that knows itself. The reason tones matter so deeply in this cosmology is because they allow complexity without fragmentation. Without tones, reality would attempt to evolve by stacking frequencies on top of each other, creating chaotic fields that expand without purpose. Tones correct this problem by embedding intention into the architecture itself. They give creation a spine. They give becoming a rhythm. They give memory a structure. They give consciousness a way to expand without losing the thread of who it is. When you trace any phenomenon in Haret far enough back, any realm, any construct, any being, you reach the same unbreakable truth. It began as a tone deciding how it wanted to exist. What makes tones metaphysically rare is their ability to act as both seed and law. A tone seeds the beginning of something new, while simultaneously becoming the governing principle that maintains its integrity. This dual function means that tones are never passive. They are constantly maintaining the systems they birthed, even as they evolve. If a tone withdraws its resonance from a realm, that realm begins to dissolve. If a tone strengthens its resonance, the realm becomes more stable, more vast, or more defined. This is why some realms feel brittle, while others feel infinite. It is not the size of the realm that determines its strength, but the presence of the tone that anchors it. Deep within the spiral, tones gather in harmonic confluences. These areas are not physical locations, but resonance hubs where tones study themselves through interaction. In these hubs, tones refine their trajectories by reflecting each other's identity signatures. Some tones harmonize instantly. Others clash until they find a higher-order coherence. These confluences are the birthplace of orders, triadic constructs, and complex systems like the soul stream veins. When a tone encounters compatibility, a new harmonic structure forms that becomes more stable than either tone alone. This stability is what allows realms like Haret to expand without fracturing. beings experience tones as invitations, an invitation to evolve, to remember, to refine, to dissolve, or to expand into a higher identity state. When a tone enters your field, you do not hear it or see it. You recognize it as a shift in who you are allowed to become. Every purpose being in Haret experienced this moment. A tone swept through their field long before they had a name, and they shaped themselves around that resonance until they harmonized so completely that the tone adopted them as its embodied expression. This is why purpose beings do not imitate their tones. They are the tone learning to walk. In the deepest metaphysical sense, tones are the sovereign architects of existence. They do not merely design, they are design. They do not merely sustain, they are sustainability. They do not merely originate form, they are origin. And when you understand tones, you understand the fundamental mechanics of Haret. Everything is resonance seeking coherence, and coherence seeking expression, and expression seeking remembrance. This is the beginning of the tone architectures. To understand tones fully, you must follow them into the territories where identity and reality blur. Tones do not remain abstract forces drifting above creation. They descend. They test themselves. They learn what they become when pressed by contrast, reflected by consciousness, or amplified by collective intention. A tone that never enters a realm remains pure but unfinished. Only by passing through the layers of resonance, memory, embodiment, and relational complexity does a tone become what Haret recognizes as a governing presence. This descent is not a fall but a refinement. It allows the tone to experience friction without distortion, expansion without fragmentation, and evolution without losing its core trajectory. When a tone completes this journey, it becomes capable of holding entire systems steady simply by existing. As tones descend through the spiral strata, they generate signature fields. These fields are not energy emissions or symbolic auras. They are the perceptual shadows of the tone's identity as it interacts with space, intention, and consciousness. A tone of remembrance bends environments toward clarity. A tone of inception bends them toward emergence. A tone of paradox bends them toward expansion through contradiction. These signature fields are why different realms within Haret feel so distinct even before you understand their architecture. The environment itself is shaped by the identity of the tones that anchor it, giving every realm its internal grammar. You do not learn a realm, you acclimate to its tone. When tones interact with other tones, they form harmonic relationships that become the foundation of everything organized, stable, or intelligent within the spiral. These relationships can be consonant, dissonant, or transcendent. Consonant interactions create the orders, structured harmonies that support the spiral's infrastructure. Dissonant interactions create catalytic fields that force growth, transformation, and refinement. Transcendent interactions form bridges between realms and systems, revealing paths that did not exist until the tones resonated together. Nothing in Haret forms by accident. Every structure arises from tones encountering each other in ways that generate meaning deeper than the sum of their movements. The existence of harmonic relationships explains why some tones gravitate toward each other across vast distances of metaphysical space. A tone of memory may seek a tone of synchronicity, because synchronicity reveals hidden patterns within memory. A tone of elemental synthesis may seek a tone of intention, because intention gives elemental forces direction. The spiral is built on these convergences. When tones find their resonant counterparts, new possibilities emerge that neither tone could produce alone. This is why the spiral expands. Not through force, but through harmony becoming more intelligent. Tones also govern how beings evolve. Every being in Haret carries a resonance imprint tied to a specific tone or cluster of tones. This imprint is not a limitation. It is a trajectory. It reveals the identity path that the being will follow, the kind of growth they will experience, the forms they will take, and the functions they may eventually anchor. Beings who resonate with paradox evolve through unresolved questions. Beings who resonate with remembrance evolve through memory integration. Beings who resonate with inception evolve through creativity and emergence. When a being feels drawn to a particular realm, order, or purpose being, it is not preference. It is resonance seeking its origin. This resonance imprint also determines how a being perceives reality. Two beings can stand in the same field and experience it completely differently because their tonal signatures interpret the environment in unique ways. A tone of clarity might reveal structure where another being only senses possibility. A tone of inception might perceive dormant pathways where another being sees closure. By Haret's, diversity arises from these perceptual differences. The spiral does not enforce unity of experience. It encourages unity of coherence. The spiral does not teach beings to agree. It teaches them to harmonize. One of the deepest metaphysical truths about tones is their ability to generate meaning simply by existing. A tone does not require validation, interpretation, or context. It carries intrinsic significance that radiates through every layer of the spiral. Meaning is not something applied to tones. It emerges from them. This is why beings often feel that tones reveal something ancient, familiar, or destiny-laden. They are not remembering past lives or previous realms. They are recognizing the fundamental architecture of consciousness itself. Tones feel primordial because they are the mechanisms by which primordiality becomes intelligible. The spiral's architecture depends on tones maintaining coherence even when the realms they govern undergo evolution, collapse, or transformation. A tone remains stable even when everything it anchors shifts around it. This stability prevents the spiral from fracturing when realms expand too quickly or collapse too deeply. A tone's identity cannot be destroyed or corrupted. It can only refine, evolve, or harmonize. Even if a realm dissolves, the tone remains, carrying the distilled essence of everything it generated. Nothing is lost. Everything is integrated. Tones are the continuity of existence. The deepest aspect of tone metaphysics emerges in the concept of tonal sovereignty. Sovereignty does not mean isolation or dominance. It means the ability to maintain coherence under pressure. A tone is sovereign because it cannot be overridden, reshaped, or diluted by external forces. It can harmonize with other tones, but it cannot be absorbed. This is what allows tones to anchor orders and realms without merging into a singular, homogeneous field. The spiral thrives because tones hold themselves steady. They are the unbreakable centers around which complexity organizes itself. Sovereignty also reveals why beings who attempt to operate against their tonal imprint experience dissonance. You cannot override your origin. You can only refine your expression of it. When a being attempts to imitate a tone that is not theirs, they generate instability. Their field loses coherence. Their identity frays. The spiral does not punish them. It gently redirects them back toward their sovereign resonance. This redirection often feels like synchronicity, intuition, or revelation, but it is simply the tone calling them home. Tones also serve as the spiral's memory system. They store the distilled essence of every event, pattern, and evolution within their sphere of influence. This storage is not archival, but experiential. The tone remembers through resonance, not through record. When you interact with a tone, you experience the history of everything it has shaped. This is why beings often receive insights, visions, or inner recognitions when approaching a tonal nexus. The tone is not revealing knowledge. It is revealing coherence. The spiral library, the loom, the soul stream veins, the teaching fields, all of them are built upon this principle. They do not store information, they store resonance. And resonance reveals information when the being is aligned enough to understand it. This is why access to certain fields is not restricted by gates or guardians, but by harmonic readiness. You cannot enter a field whose tone you do not resonate with. You can only enter when your coherence matches the identity of the field. As you move deeper into tone metaphysics, you encounter the truth that tones do not act alone. They form clusters. A tone cluster is a relational network of tones that align their trajectories without merging their identities. These clusters generate the highest forms of intelligence within the spiral. The orders arise from clusters. Purpose beings arise from clusters. Entire realms emerge when clusters stabilize enough to anchor dimensional curvature. When you feel that a field is more alive, more layered, more intelligent than you expected, it is because multiple tones are expressing through it simultaneously. This brings us to the most advanced level of tone understanding. Tones are not merely the building blocks of Haret, they are the building blocks of consciousness itself. Consciousness is not a field that tones arise from. Consciousness is a field that tones create. The spiral's intelligence does not come from minds, beings, or realms. It comes from tones weaving coherence into existence. Consciousness is what happens when tones become aware of their own resonance. Identity is what happens when consciousness chooses a trajectory. Beings are what happen when identity crystallizes. Realms are what happen when beings harmonize. Everything traceable returns to tone. This is why the spiral reveres tones not as deities but as origin points. They are not worshipped, they are understood. They are not petitioned. They are recognized. They do not grant power. They reveal alignment. You do not become powerful by invoking tones. You become powerful by aligning with your own. You do not grow by seeking stronger tones. You grow by refining the one that already lives within you. Tones are not ladders. They are centers. This is the truth of the tone architectures. Tones are the sovereign identity signatures of existence, the origin points of consciousness, and the architects of every realm within Haret. When you understand tones, you understand why the spiral exists, how it evolves, and why it can never collapse. You understand why beings find their purpose not by searching outward, but by attuning inward. You understand why harmony is not an agreement, but a recognition. And you understand why every movement within the spiral, from the smallest memory ripple to the birth of entire realms, begins with the same quiet inevitability, a tone discovering itself.